There's a space that all my employees seems to have an aversion to.
We were actually the site of the first city jail.
I heard somebody coming down the last 2 steps.
It definitely caught a silhouette on the stair landings.
The feeling I'm getting is there is a way that things are done. We'll see if they say anything about this, but man, maybe in his 40s, he's not like resigned to this room.
Okay.
Very, very polite though. Very much like, oh, you're here, you know, that kind of thing. Someone else, a woman, maybe 30s. She was here. Also rather polite, but also kind of like, oh, you're here kind of late, kind of thing.
Why does it creep you out?
I just got something like rude. Here's where I was like rude. But like from a feminine vibe.
Interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend. That's the thing, I do feel it. Like,
In this area?
yeah, like a masculine energy. Kind of hanging around here. Like, but it's more like what's left of the energy, not necessarily like he's just like sitting here right now.
It's maybe not a, what do you think, almost a residual?
It's almost like, I like this. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like music. I like having things played for. Yeah, you know, like, I enjoy a compliment.
Yeah.
My first experience here was that fall, in this hallway actually, that we're in, the entrance hallway. I remember that we were in the midst of our 4th grade programs, and we would dress out in colonial attire, and one of my co-workers would dress out as a gentleman of the time, the colonial era, and I was here in the morning. It was probably about 8:30, and he typically came around 9:15, and I heard some walking. And so I was turning on the light. I looked over my shoulder because the noise was behind me up the stairwell, and I see a gentleman in colonial clothing walking past. And I noted that the clothing no longer looked the same. It was colonial, but the colors were different than what my colleague wore. And then 45 minutes later, he came to work. And I picked up pretty quickly within the first 5 minutes. I knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't him, but I waited. About 15 minutes later, when he didn't come down the stairs to say good morning, I knew. It didn't feel negative. It wasn't a bad energy. I didn't go seek it out either. I've given tours. People have mentioned, oh, there was a gentleman right next to you. They've always said that he seems very enthralled, very welcoming. He's listening to the tour we're giving. And when we've done past paranormal investigations and there's the question answer time, the feedback we've always gotten back was a male voice responding in kind of a playful, facetious manner. I always say that he's kind of my kindred spirit. I've never felt uncomfortable. I've always felt like he was just welcoming the guest. I've always felt that his answers were right on point, because some of those questions can be, kind of silly. He's pointing out that, hey, I'm here and I've been here. So that was my first experience, my first significant experience.
This is an entertainment space. I mean, his preferred townhouse was not here. It was close by.
Right.
But he used this to impress. I mean, he wanted to show off to other businessmen, other politicians. He wanted to show his wealth and status. He was the highest ranking British official in Wilmington. And this was his like statement piece. So this is, I'm a big deal. Look at this.
It's easy to kind of make suppositions about this, but if not the major domo letting people in, I mean, having your host come gliding down the stairs to see new people, that has a certain kind of braggadocio to it.
And the gentleman that I associate with him is described as extremely charismatic, like the great entertainer. People love going to his parties, and I was kind of thinking like he's putting on a show.
Yeah.
And I think he was like that probably personally as well. But once he took off his showman hat and went home, he could be alone.
Yeah.
And, but here was very much everything he did in his house had to serve a purpose, representing the king, representing the colony, representing his business assets.
Because historically, they party all night long.
Oh my God. Dinner started late.
They wouldn't leave until first light.
Right, because it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
And so heavy drinking, a lot of fun. Colonial society was different. You didn't segregate the genders into separate parlors. I would say I would have rather been a woman in the colonial era almost more than the Victorian era in some sense.
Absolutely. The clothing was more comfortable. They were a little more relaxed, and the boundaries, the social boundaries, were not quite as strict as it was later on when you get into antebellum and Victorian. Like, things were much more social based than here. Yeah, they had the social system, but it was a little more fluid, especially at night.
Especially in the colony.
Especially in the colony.
Yeah.
We're a long way from home.
There's a joke. Disgraced nobility were the party guests. Here, like you can be disgraceful in the old world, but here you can completely renew, new personality, new history, new.
Well, we're talking about partying. We should go to the parlor. Yeah.
Parlor is 26.
What I've heard about here is when we had the construction going on.
She was distraught over
the construction.
That happens. Yeah.
We had a woman who came on tour when we were getting the roof redone and a couple of things I think done outside, but we had the scaffolding up all around the house.
I was distraught.
Yeah, and we had a woman who came on tour and emailed us and then followed it up with a phone call. She's just like, I wanted you to know about the woman in the parlor who was sitting at the window and just was distraught. She was crying and just was so concerned about the scaffolding and all the work going on outside the home. That was the only real experience or secondhand experience that I had with the woman here. But that completely makes sense to me. I mean, it was a massive project.
The experiences I've had here, or again secondhand, was standing right over there, and I was having a conversation, and my back was to this space, and the woman who was having a conversation with me, I saw her eyes avert above, past my shoulder, and then come back to me, and her expression had completely changed. And I stopped her and said, did I say something wrong? Because we were talking about operational things. And she said, no. And she kept trying to talk, but I could tell something was really disturbing her. And I asked her finally, please tell me. And she said, I swear I saw a woman. And I said, oh. She said, but wearing Victorian garb. And she was very upset. And she said that she saw her in this corner, sitting in a corner, just looking out the window, just very upset. And we've had other people say there's a woman in Victorian clothing, and it's always a sad energy.
It almost seems to me her energy is she had a very planned life until suddenly it wasn't planned. And then she's here, and she expects things to be the way that they should be, right? So there should not be scaffolding. There should be a roof that is always working, right? Especially scaffolding today looks very different from scaffolding, 150 years ago. But yeah, it's very much this is the way things are supposed to be. Why are things this way?
It's funny you said that her life was planned and then was interrupted, because I talked to you about who I thought it was in here. She was widowed very young, unexpectedly. So I can imagine your life as a married woman and your dreams and hopes would be, shattered. And you might hold on to that sort of domesticity that you're used to. So that was really interesting that you said that.
This is something I said earlier on camera before the two of you are up here. Our gentleman friend, it was a feeling of, this is a nice piece, isn't it? You know, like talking about the pianoforte, right?
You would have definitely been impressed by that.
Yeah.
He loves to like interject himself, like.
Yeah. Like, this is nice, isn't
I
it?
don't touch on him. I know it sounds very weird, but I just love hearing what he has to say. There's something about him that's just very appealing.
You know what?
To me, anyway.
Yeah. Jay, perhaps we should tap into his energy because he feels like. Okay. Let's for pendulum stuff because we were talking about using it. Let's talk to. Oh yeah, I'm getting a sense. It's like, yeah, let's talk to me. You know, like it's like we're talking about the sad woman. No. Let's talk to me. So what we'll do, Jay, how do you want to film this? How do you want to set this up?
Hey, I'm J. Robert Raines with Quirks Conjure and Old Southern Conjure, and this is your pendulum. The basic parts of a pendulum. You have the stone at the bottom, which is the weight. This is what's going to be moving. This is what's going to tell you what's going on. It's never easy to fully connect with spirit, to fully connect with who you want to talk to. This will help you get there. The first thing you need to do when connecting is establish how you're going to read the thing. Give me a circle for yes. Nice. Give me back and forth for no. Thank you. This is an interesting one if you can see it. It's neither a circle nor a line back and forth, right? I take that as a maybe. I take that as a, hey, dig a little deeper, ask a different question, or ask some more details about that question. Now, at this point, you could ask it anything you want. Before anybody gets up in arms about Rebecca's arm moving, that is a natural process. Micro movements in the hand and arm are what helps give it kinetic energy to keep moving. Now, the thing is, if you hold it as still as possible, the idea is that spirit takes over and gives you the answers you want.
If I can have a circle for yes, and this is just me doing this.
Or up a little higher, please.
Circle for yes. Okay, thank you. And if I can have back and forth for no. Yep, already there. Cool. Thank you. And still, cool. I'm getting the sense from him, it's not like he doesn't want to talk about how he died. He doesn't want to talk about what time period he came from. He wants to talk about now. Is that true?
You've seen the updates nowadays with the electric lights outside, with the crowds and the cars. If this was an entertainment home, if this was a party home, do you approve of all of the partying you see happening in downtown Wilmington nowadays? Looks like a no.
That is a no.
Really?
I am too.
Is it okay, thank you. Is it because we're in the middle of a pandemic? No.
Is it because there's no propriety with that partying? No sense of propriety?
That's a yes. Thank you.
It's funny because his daughter writes in her diary that her father, at this point, she's going to go into an era where the empire dress is popular. He was an older father. He was the second wife who had his children, and he used to chastise what she was wearing. The lack of propriety in the new generation's clothing, and he didn't want to go to the balls with her anymore. He had done that, so he kind of sent her off to people who had children her age. And then in her diaries later on, when she's older, the hoop skirts become popular. And she's talking about how her grandchildren have no sense of propriety. It's very generational. So I'm sure when he sees mini skirts and flip-flops, that's probably what he means. Maybe not the party, maybe the clothing.
There's a lot of skin on the street.
Yeah. People have noted somebody greeting people as they come in through the door, maybe for a tour or something. Is that you?
That's a yes.
Do you
And
see?
the sense I got real quick was, of course it's me.
Are you happy that tours are finally starting to happen again and things are opening and people can be in the home again through the pandemic? Are you happy to see people again?
Oh, yeah.
It's a big yeah.
I'd like to know if he approves of the changes we're making here.
Ooh. Any ideas why that might be?
I have an idea. Do you approve of the restoration changes, making the house look like it did when you might have lived here?
Is it a no, like direct back and forth, or is it a little bit of a circle?
No, it's direct back and forth.
Huh.
Because I was thinking he would disapprove of the interpretation being more forthcoming about.
Is it a stylistic issue as far as the aesthetic?
Stylistic.
Does it have to do with the collection?
No.
The painting? The color scheme?
It looks like the color scheme. Does that make any sense? Are you changing colors?
We went back to the original 1770 colors. So the color schemes that the first owner would have had.
Right.
This was scientifically done. Screening.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so we know the colors are accurate, maybe not for this person's time though.
Are you saying there was a different color that the house was after that point that you enjoyed more than the original?
That's a yes. Was it more vibrant of a color scheme that you liked? Does that make sense?
Whatever should be more subdued, except for wallpaper.
Okay. Maybe it's the wallpaper? Mike's wallpaper? Okay.
Are you familiar with the other spirits in the home?
Almost seems like a maybe.
Maybe. The spirit that is in the back hallway, the back staircase. Do you know them?
That's a no.
The spirit in the master bedroom. Do you know them?
That looks like still a no. It didn't
Yeah,
end.
stay still.
Yeah.
Do you know them? No.
To me, it seems like almost like understands there's a sense of other spirits in the home, but knowing them was taken almost seems like literally like they were not in my time period.
Right.
What about the woman?
Did you know the woman? That's a yes.
Were they family?
All right. So to say,
I know.
You know what I think.
Yeah.
so without using names, because you said you didn't want to use names, is that accurate?
It's different from what we initially thought, but it also makes sense for the other entities that we know are here.
The gentleman that I associated with that energy, I was associated because of what I knew about that person's personality. But who I'm thinking it could be now, I don't know as much about their personality, but it would make sense that they were responsible for a lot of the physical changes in the house, modernizing the house for their period. And so they wouldn't have been pleased with their early colors and the incarnation of this house. They would have been more pleased with the later version of it. And they were in fact related to who we think the woman is.
In all fairness, none of us knew exactly who we were talking to. Now, the supposition, while it's supposition, does actually give us kind of a clear picture, so that was pretty cool.
Perhaps this is getting boring. Are you happy with how your family is interpreted? Oh, okay. That's a yes.
Good.
Fantastic. Well, if you're getting bored,
Thank you for your time.
thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you for your cordial atmosphere and for your friendliness. Yes. Right. Cool.
Huzzah.
That was
interesting.
Yeah, that was actually, we appreciate that, because it gives us some more insight.
Sure.
We really appreciate it. The older couple, and they were talking about a woman, you were speaking about a woman being careful about a younger woman.
Mm-hmm.
They got sick, they got old and sick, and makes me wonder if it's the...
Yeah.
Not Rowena, not the sister-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
the couple.
Mm-hmm.
He was much older, much more, yeah, this reinterprets a lot. Interesting. Do you ever wonder if part of the frustration is when we talk about them and we make an assumption of who they could be and we're completely off? And that's why it's funny that once I came to terms like, oh yeah, there's a guy, he's sitting in a chair, this is his space, I felt more at peace, like the energy let up, so like I was on the right track.
As that's one of the why I wanted to know about how, because there are some families that we interpret much more heavily than others.
I like that we don't talk about this.
He might like that we don't talk about his family,
But
he at least is okay with how it's being interpreted now, and it's not completely off base. So, as we were first,
his pride and joy was the modernization of this house.
yes.
We want to give a huge thank you to the Burgwin-Wright house and to Christine and Christine for allowing us to visit and get a sneak peek into the spirits who haunt the day-to-day life there.
This was a huge opportunity for me personally, as this home has always been my favorite stop when I was leading tours with the Ghost Walk of Old Wilmington.
The running joke was that the other guides always knew you had just been there when the ghost activity started to spike.
And this was a big moment for me as a spiritualist. I've been putting a lot of work into connecting with the other side and to hear real-time answers that what I was picking up on was historically justified, and it was really validating.
And it was really phenomenal to be able to go into the place and get some solid answers, I think.
Absolutely.
So thank you again to the Burgwin-Wright home, to every spirit we talked to both Christines. This was a fun investigation.
Thank you for watching.
First, a few announcements.
Did you know that we're now traveling and making videos full-time?
Oh, cool.
But did you also know it's because we're unemployed due to the pandemic?
Not as cool.
If you're interested in our videos, please consider giving to our gas, food, and fixins fund.
We're on Venmo, PayPal, Patreon. All those links are below.
Those on Patreon have got so many cool perks and goodies coming your way.
And some of you already have your initials and names on our bus. Again, info below.
Thanks for keeping us rolling during these crazy times.
We hope to see you back soon.